In this episode, I'm going to tell some stories. Sort of like the stories that you might see in Curb Your Enthusiasm. And the stories that I tell you aren't going to be big things. They're going to be like in episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's little stuff, but it adds up. Until you're a pariah at work, until you can't work at any store except for the one with the only two people who like you. And when you hear these stories, as many of the people in my life do, you may react, oh wow, those people are dumb. No, it's you. It is 99% of you. It's even me. You just don't realize that it's you because nobody tells it the way that I'm telling it to get you to rethink it. People probably do this to you, and you do this to other people. But you do this to my community, I think, a lot. This kind of misunderstanding and this kind of just bullshit rationalizing of a bad judgment. It's people. It's not the characters in these stories that are stupid. It's people that need to have a little bit more skepticism and be a little bit less judgmental. And everybody's on board with that. Until then you go and do it. And you don't even realize that you're doing it. You don't even realize that you're being judgmental. You think you're so good at reading people. There are very few people who've been good at reading me. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm someone who has a different code of conduct than other people. It's not an intercultural thing. It's just humans and different people thing. Call it Asperger's or whatever it may be. I just behave differently. Okay, stop making fun of me for looking like Ace Ventura and hear my words. My words. I've got something to say sort of from the perspective of someone who might be Asperger's, or just from people who are just misunderstood or who are just taken as assholes sometimes, even when maybe we have the best intentions, and there are only a few people in our lives that actually see us for us. I'm addressing people who are more neurotypical. You know what your problem is? You trust yourself too much. You trust your reads on people, your interpretations of people. You trust your judgments. Based on what? How am I the one doubting my intentions and you're not doubting your interpretations of them? How am I the one doubting my goodness and you're not doubting my perceived badness? I mean, that's like I have a box. Say I have a box with me, right? I've looked inside. Now, let's say I have certain biases, right? Because, nobody wants to admit they're a bad person, right? But I've actually looked inside, and yes, I have these biases, but you haven't even fucking looked inside, let alone the biases once you do look inside. You haven't even looked inside. I'm telling you what seems to be in here. The people that are closest to me, who don't necessarily have the same biases that I do, are telling you what's in here. And you're telling us what's inside here? Like what? How do you accuse me of having intention? And then I find myself wondering whether I'm crazy, thinking, wait a minute, did I want to be an asshole? Did I want to manipulate them? Do I think I'm better than them? And then there you are, just like, yeah, work on yourself, bro. Figure that out, bro. Like, no, did I say that I was better than you? Or did I just correct you on something because I thought that'd be beneficial for you because I know that I like to be corrected? I mean, how crazy is that? That I have access to a lot more of my internal state than you do, yet it's me doubting my goodness. You know what your problem is? You think that your code of conduct is the objectively moral way to behave. Have you never met a polite bad guy? Then imagine that there is such a thing as an impolite good guy. Imagine that whether or not you smile does not necessarily correlate to your interest in the other person's well-being. I know it's a mind blower. Let me tell you a story. So I work at Quilt, and you may have heard a lot of stories that I've already told you. There's this girl named Perrier. Just what I saw in my. There's this girl named Hetty. And this was back in the day when I was super apologetic. I just wanted to understand what I was doing wrong and trying to do it better. And I was like that for years until I decided, you know what, screw you and your interpretation. And that's kind of where I am now. One day I asked her to close the door. I said, can you close the door? She said,
whoa, why are you talking to me like that?
I said, oh no, what? How could I have said that differently? She said,
well, let me give you a tip. Just always ask, does it bother you to do this?
And I'm translating from French. So I said, okay, let me try. Hey, I start to point. I realize, no. Humans don't like that. I put my hands behind my back. I say, would it bother you to close the door? She says,
No, there's still something bothering me.
I said, what is it? What is it?
I don't know.
I said, can you try it? She says,
Yeah, okay. Would it bother you to close the door?
I said, oh, okay, I see. So then I do it. Would it bother you to close the door? She said,
Yeah, that's better.
she didn't even realize why. Like, we talked about it afterwards. And she didn't even understand that it wasn't this formula that she was taught, in this case, to say, does it bother you? That wasn't the trick. The trick was to squint your eyes, to change the intonation of your voice. That was the trick. And you guys aren't even aware. And yet you think that it's like the only way to behave, and that if I don't change the intonation, then I must be ordering you around. I want to tell you another story. This girl, her name was Umbrella. Umbrella has her phone. We're at work. She has her phone, and she's behind the cash register, and it's above the cash register. And so I go, oh, hey, lower your phone, please. I said, please. I'm thinking, all right, Eris, you're nailing this. Hetty and Umbrella, they look at me.
Whoa, there you go again. You think you're our boss, Eris. Why are you acting like that? Come on, here you go. I thought we were making progress.
I was like, shit, I thought we were too. I'm trying to like learn the rules, not forget to say please, not forget these elements of politeness. I asked two other people how they would have said it, and they said, hey, lower your phone a little bit because it can be seen. Neither the person said please when I asked them. These were people who were not involved in the situation. I posted about that on Facebook, and someone pointed out an experiment that was done. All right, so let me tell you about this experiment. A woman is standing in the line for a photocopy machine, and she does three conditions. In the first condition, she says, hi, I have 5 pages to copy. May I cut you? 60% of people let her cut. In the next condition, she says, hey, I have 5 pages to copy. May I cut you because I'm in a rush? 94% of people let her cut. Yeah. All right, I hadn't read about that experiment in like 3 or 4 years. All right, so laugh it up. I made a mistake. I'm so glad that this happened, because what's interesting about my response right now is that was my natural response, to kind of get defensive and be like, yeah. Why is that? That's because a lot of people, when they correct someone, they do it out of spite. They do sort of laugh at a person for making an error. So I definitely understand why if I correct you, your natural instinct is going to be, oh, he's doing that out of spite, so I need to defend myself. I'm better than you. Fuck, I'm not allowed to say that. I'm just, some people aren't like that. Some people correct because it's like a good thing. And I know some of you kind of get that. You get that it's a good thing. But when you actually hear it done, you tend to think it's out of spite, like I just did. It'd be really dope if people could correct each other without it being like a weird thing. Anyway, so I was wrong. Checked the experiment because I was like, I haven't looked at this experiment in so long, so boom. Okay, that makes sense. Like, she gave a valid reason. Okay. But what's interesting is what happened in the third condition. She says, hey, I have 5 pages to copy. May I cut because I have 5 pages to copy? Well, it should be 60% again, right? Because she hasn't given a valid reason. She's just repeated the obvious. 92% of people let her cut. And what the book in which this experiment is described was explaining is that people need a reason. Even if it's not a real reason, they just need to hear the word because followed by something that isn't complete gibberish. For me, telling Umbrella, hey, can you lower your phone a little bit because it can be seen, that's speaking down to her. Obviously, if I'm bringing attention to the fact that she should lower her phone, it's because it can be seen. And the last thing you want to do is when you're considered arrogant is to condescend. Right? Okay. Now what about the other part? Can you lower your phone a little bit? Why don't you decide how much to lower it? You know, I can trust you to figure out how much to lower it. But that's another thing with human psychology, that we need a task to be verbally, nominally, let's say, reduced for us to be more willing to comply. Your whole code for what is right to say and wrong to do is unreal. What about pointing out that that somebody has something on their face? What about pointing out that someone made an error? Do we have to assume that that person, the speaker, thinks that they're better than you just because they didn't keep their mouths shut about the jam on their face, or because they didn't have jam on their face? Is it impossible that they did that for you and didn't yet understand that humans are dumb pieces of shit? Or what about when we talk about ourselves, right?
Should I do it? No, don't do it. Aries, don't do it. Don't say it. Aries, you're gonna lose him.
People often think I'm arrogant because I'm
To hell with it.
pretty smart. There, I just said I'm pretty smart. Does that make me arrogant to say that? I have a question. When I say, gosh, I'm fat and ugly, which I say on a regular basis, especially when I'm fatter and uglier, or if I say, my goodness, my Johnson's small, which it is. No, okay. It's average size. If I say,
You're really feeling yourself, huh? You're really feeling yourself in this Ubuntu Caquarala shirt. Oh, with your spiky lion hair. Oh, get your, oh God, you're really not good at insulting yourself. No wonder you can't think of old head looking. Oh God, this is not helping my case. You're Ace Ventura looking, already made that joke as fuck on funny loose.
but then when and then if I say that,
what about that lineup looking old looking ass? Oh God, think of something.
and then if I say that I look ugly, that I have ugly legs, let's say,
You're an arrogant piece of shit.
does that mean that I have low self-esteem? Or could both of those things just be facts?
No, you just lost your audience.
Could I say that I am super intelligent without believing that I am better than you?
Nope, you're not winning anyone over.
Could I say that my legs are fat without believing that I am less than you?
Nobody can identify with you.
See, you have these rules for what is acceptable to say and what isn't.
There's only one way to win back our audience.
And not only do I find them absurd, they don't come naturally to me.
I know what I must do.
Sometimes it's appropriate to say that you're intelligent. Somebody says, oh wow, and then you went to that school? How did you get in there? I heard it's super difficult.
Delete your channel.
I could say, oh, I just got lucky, and my parents are filthy rich. It's not true. I got in because I'm super smart.
Nobody's taking you seriously, dude.
Then somebody says,
in the interest of truth and humility.
why did that girl reject you?
I did what had to be done.
I say, oh well, I was not nearly attractive enough for her. That's acceptable because it's acceptable to degrade yourself, and I do that, and nobody thinks anything of it. But I'm not doing that to degrade myself. I'm doing that because it is a fact as I see it.
You don't have a leg to stand on.
I want you to reconsider
Yeah, fat chance.
your whole perspective on what is right and what is wrong, as far as human conduct goes and how you can interpret people's actions. I have dealt with this my whole life. I have got stories for days
You should really just tuck your head between your legs.
where
Bro, another 2 minutes of this shit, literally, nobody's listening. Whatever, man. Good luck. Break a leg.
I've told you 2 stories. I'm going to tell you one more. In 2013, I was standing in a group of people. Someone says to the group that they were a summer camp counselor at a camp where if you had to fart, you would go into a closet to fart. This is all a very liberal-minded group of people, progressive people, good people. I said to the person next to me, gosh, I'd hate to be secretly gay at that camp. She goes, oh, you can't say that. I'm utterly confused. I go to my boss. She had already gone to him. I go to my boss, I say, yeah, what was that about? And then he comes up with this bullshit justification for why the joke was unacceptable. It offended some human sensitivity that we have, and then what we do is we then justify it afterwards. We don't even question that maybe we were reacting incorrectly to it. So he says, well, first of all, you said that all gays are in the closet. I said, no, I'd hate to be secretly gay. If you're secretly gay, you're in the closet. Gosh, I'd hate to be secretly gay at that camp. He said, yeah, but then you're saying that it's terrible to be in the closet. That is the premise of the joke, yes. Because it would smell like farts. Gosh, I'd hate to be secretly gay at that camp. Let me explain where all this is coming from. A couple nights ago, got really drunk, cried a little bit because of a new development at work. And so I've got this hour-long video that I was thinking about publishing. Don't know whether I'm going to publish it because it's just me being sappy. Basically, I've had problems with people for the last 5 years. And that's when I've been, kind of in the workforce. So I don't choose who I get to work with. And they don't get to really choose me. And so all of these problems arise. Great. Great. So long story short, tried to work out things with my coworkers, that didn't work. Tried to get my manager involved. She sent me to her boss. He didn't listen, that didn't work. So a year later, I was like, all right, I'm going to human resources. The reason for that was because I knew that I would have to stay with the company. I have to pay rent, so I couldn't quit, and they weren't going to give me this like rupture thing, whatever. Human resources said, no, we looked at the documentation, we did an investigation, it's actually you, you're the problem, nobody's done anything, and I think you're just coming to us because you didn't get your way. There you go. Right, so if I do publish it though, whenever it gets published, it'll be here. It'll be here. And then also subscribe so that you can know if it gets published. And then also, even if that doesn't get published, what will get published is the documentary that we are doing.
Hi, my name is Abdel Adanawi.
It's me. I'm 27 years old.